Welcome, everyone, to this very special episode of This Much I Know. I'm here alongside several of our colleagues. My colleague Reshma and I are the two managing partners of Seedcamp. You'll be hearing from them in a second. And of course, we have joining us Tom and Sia, who have become partners with us and joined us as part of our fourth fund and now onto our fifth fund. And Natasha, our head of brand, marketing, and portfolio support. We're going to be having an amazing chat right now about why Fund V is so exciting, why it's so exciting for you guys. But one thing I wanted to add is that our team is much larger than just the five of us, except that it gets really hard on Zoom to have that many little squares. But rest assured, you will meet all of us in due time. But I wanted to kick off a little bit about why now and what Fund V is about and what this episode's about. And one of the things that I really love about what we've been doing is that we've been helping build the European startup ecosystem from the early days. We've been bringing together the best investors and angels together. We've been building personal relationships with our founders and providing them with the best network of support, especially at the early stage, which is the hardest stage of any company's life. And we've also have the best access to information of how to build a company at this stage. And we've been doing that now over 13 years, and we're hungry to do more and work with you guys. And this fund is an opportunity to do that. And to tell you a bit more about this fund and why it's important for us, Reshma.
Yes. So we've just announced last week a 78.48 million pound fund. So just sort of under 80 million pounds. And why is that relevant, important? One of the key elements of our strategy is we think, very early stage funds, we are a pre-series A, so very focused on pre-seed and seed. We think those funds need to be sub 100 million to ultimately back incredibly high quality founders in a way that's really supportive of them. But at the end of the day, our job is that we are managing and investing money on behalf of our LPs. And so it's about superior returns and really being one of the top funds all across Europe, but at a global level as well. So that sort of fund size of close to that 80 million allows us to invest a substantial amount at the pre-seed and seed stages. So anywhere between sort of 200,000 to 500,000-600,000 pounds in those rounds up to 2.5, 3 million. And so that substantial amount of capital to really to help the founders and those companies get those, key product market fit and reach those critical milestones that will help them raise that Series A, which tends to be the key round for really separating yourself apart from the noise and really sort of getting into that escape velocity. So one of the parts about that is we started with our LPs. We've been extremely thoughtful about the kind of LP base to create that will especially allow us to attract the best of founders and support them in a very high quality way. And so the way we think about our LP base, and it's quite different to anyone else really, across Europe or beyond as well, is we've really thought about them across categories. And we start from angels, and they are Seedcamp founders themselves who are either through Seedcamp as the first sort of angel investments they're making, all the way to those who are very prolific. So we have roughly about 100 Seedcamp founders over the last couple of funds, helping sort of talk about Seedcamp in their local geographies and making co-investments with us. Particularly, I think to the founders listening, anywhere where you are, whether it's Darlington, UK, or Bucharest, or wherever you are, there's probably a Seedcamp founder. So reach out and get to know us better via them, and so those angels are so crucial to helping us with deal flow and also co-investing. Then we think about the VCs. Again, as co-investors, but mainly sort of thinking about folks like Sequoia and Index and Anthemis, Draper, and so forth as investing in our companies as follow-on. Then it's some of the corporate VC fund of funds and family offices as well, who will continue to help invest in our companies at those growth stages. and then more the institutional capital, which has anchored us with the larger checks, kind of that 3 to 5 or 10 million type of an anchor check into Seedcamp. So we've been extremely thoughtful about how to bring a group of LPs that are long term, that are going to invest in us the next fund and fund after and so forth, and really add value back into Seedcamp Nation.
Well, maybe you can tell us a little bit, Tom, about what we're looking for. If you're a founder and you're wondering, hey, what do these guys want? What they should be looking for? Tom, tell us.
Absolutely. No, happy to, Carlos. And I think that, it's obviously a huge question which always comes up whenever we speak to any kind of like company or any kind of only founder of what we look for. And I think, broadly speaking, we're often thinking about these opportunities in the sense of, what are the founder attributes? What's in that kind of like founding team, and what does the market look like? And then there are some sectors as well that we focus on, or maybe attract us a little bit more. So happy to kind of unpack a few more of those to potentially be a little bit helpful with, if there's a founder, if you're listening to this and figuring out what it is that Seedcamp gets excited by. And I mean, on the founder side, because probably if we had to, and we debate this internally a lot, that's probably the most important thing, the team and who we're going to be working with, who we're going to be trying to support on their journey. And some of the things which we look for, and actually some of this was actually in our deck, which we open sourced and released to the market as part of the fundraise. But I think one area is across the founding team, so not one individual, like an idea of complementary skill sets. So are these the kind of people who are well placed to be building, what is going to be $1 billion business? Have they got that blend across both the people who can execute and build and technically put this product together, and also the people who can be on the business side selling and driving growth in the company? So that complementary skill set is something that we spend a lot of time trying to understand and making sure it's in place. So that's definitely something that we think about. And above that, and almost at a kind of like more personal level, it's this idea also of a kind of emotional intelligence that some of these founders have, that they understand what makes kind of people tick across the organization. And I know this is something that, again, we think about a lot, and we try to really like test during our process, because I think that if you can kind of strip the kind of some of the founder attributes that we look back, overall is this idea that, is this someone who can really go the whole journey with a business and grow something into a defining company, a global business. We're looking to support European founders who are there to build global businesses, and that requires an incredible amount of resilience, an incredible amount of grit, an incredible amount of determination. And I think some of the characteristic which we see is a common across some of the people we backed who are able to go on that journey. The Daniel Dines of this world, the Johnny Buffons of this world, the Nick from Revolut of this world, the Tavits from TransferWise, is this idea that they're big in person, some of these kind of like characteristics. And I think something that we look for is this idea that there's a sense of positivity, there's a sense of, this is someone who can get people to come along on the journey with them, because they can inspire other fantastic people to join them through hires and through bringing people on who could go somewhere else and could join another kind of like more established company, but are willing to risk it to come join that founder. So that if you're that kind of person, that's a huge thing. And then also the person who can inspire people to invest in them, so they can get actual investors to come on board and support them at different stages of the journey. Because if you're a CEO, if you're the leader of a business, those two things are probably two of the things which are almost the most important over everything else. So I think on the founder side, there's some of the things that we look for. But I said at the start, there's probably founder, there's market, and then there's a little bit on sectors and stuff. And I think in the market side, there's no rocket science here, right? We're early stage investors, but we're looking for hugely outsized returns. So there needs to be a massive market. I mean, there's no two ways about it. You can build fantastic businesses in smaller markets, and we're not like saying that that's not the case at all. But for what we're looking for, there needs to be this potential for $1 billion outcome, which means that this business needs to be able to scale to 100 million plus revenue potential. So that's something that is like, again, a bit of a given, and that that's just the way it is for the kind of sector that we're investing in the stage that we're investing. And also, I think that we're looking for things which are fast growing. Potential that, yes, we want people who can swing for the fences in a fast growing market, rather than something which is a little bit slower moving but might get there eventually. And then also, because of the stage we invest, because of the size of our fund and our kind of our focus, like capital efficiency is again something that we look for. So heavy OpEx requirements up front would be a bit of a challenge for us as a fund. Final point from my side, I think, is this idea of sectors. I think, Reshma touched upon this, that we are sector agnostic. We're not necessarily focused on one thing or the other. There's some brilliant funds out there who are focused on, certain sectors and go down that vertical route, but that's not our thing. But what we are is laser focused on stage. So we're, pre-seed and seed stage focused. That's where we've built up 13 years of experience. That's where we feel like as a fund that we can add the most value. So that's the place where we're looking to meet companies and invest in companies. Now, having said that, we're not, sector focused. We are, looking to be ahead of the curve when it comes to sectors. So we're looking at, are there like things that we can get smarter on, that we're curious about, that we're constantly wanting to learn more about? And the best way for us to do that is for having founders drag us into those sectors. So we're incredibly interested at bringing and being brought into new sectors by founders and new markets by founders that we haven't thought of before, because it's you, the founders, who are the people who are the real innovators in that space and driving growth. And we're really excited to potentially partner with you in totally different sectors that we focused on before. Yes, we've got some experience in sectors. We've done a lot in fintech. We've done a lot more recently in open source. And Sia has been doing some fantastic deals in that space. He's been working closely with, and also things like future of work and productivity and health. And we're curious and interested in all of those sectors, but also we're really excited about new markets and new sectors that we haven't had the opportunity to invest in yet, but we're sure that they're going to come about as part of Fund V. So, I think on that point, I think it's probably would be great to understand a bit more about kind of how we invest. I've spoken about a lot about what we look for, but maybe to tell us a little bit more about how we invest. See if you want to take it away.
Thanks, Tom. So with Fund V, it's very much more of the same for us. So over the past 3 years, we've demonstrated that our strategy in terms of deployment of capital really works well and leads to great outcome for the companies. And with Fund V, we are just doubling down on that strategy. So at Seedcamp, we have two main entry points. On one side, we would lead pre-seed rounds of anywhere between 400,000 up to 750,000 in general. It can go even up to 1 million, but the sweet spot being around that kind of like 500, 750 mark, with a check from like 200,000 pounds. So we would invest 200,000 pounds to anchor your pre-seed rounds. And then through our process, we can very quickly get you a strong pre-seed syndicate. And that is usually done by syndicating with our LPs as well as with our network of operators. And so we know really people that can be value-add pre-seed investors alongside us, a lot of them being even founders of Seedcamp portfolio companies or operators that have been just driving value to our portfolio over the past few years. And we really believe that there is beauty in this kind of capital constraint of like the pre-seed, of like just having a few £100,000 raised. It gives you like that focus that you need to really get to those early signs of product market fit. And I think over the past 3 years, we've really been able to demonstrate that our companies on the back of those pre-seed rounds are really able to raise extremely strong seed rounds from some of like the best seed investors in Europe and in the US. We have over 70% of our portfolio companies that we back at pre-seed that would go on those 3.5 million pound seed rounds. So we are looking to do 25 deals like that with the new fund per year. We are looking with those pre-seed investments for 6 to 7% ownership. And it's with like our pre-seed strategy that we led the first round in companies like TransferWise, Revolut, or more recently, Hopin, Sorare, Primer, and others. And I think then we also look at the co-investment strategy that we have at Seed. There, it can be different scenarios. Either it's that we might have missed your pre-seed round and it's our chance to still get on board, or it's a business that might need slightly more capital from the get-go. And in those like 2 to 3 million rounds, we are looking for investing up to 500,000 pounds. So we are very much looking for a 5% ownership stake that works quite nicely alongside your lead VC that will lead your seed rounds. And we will do 10 to 12 deals like that per year. And it's via that strategy that we led rounds and invested in the likes of UiPath, WeFox, Harbor, Graphy, and others. And I think what is important to understand with our seed strategy of syndication is that you will have the opportunity there to, get the value add from another seed VC that will lead you around, come on your board as a director, and really work closely with you. And alongside that, we can bring our experience of really getting companies from those early checks to very strong Series A. We can plug you in a pretty amazing network of founders, operators, and investors. And we can also provide you this infrastructure layer that we've built over the years that really allow you to have all those tools, resources, etc., to make your business successful. And I will let Natasha maybe share a bit more on how we actually do that.
Yeah, thanks, Sia. So I guess, we talk about, and there's this term in VC that's become quite widely accepted now, which is platform. Well, what is platform? It can probably be to a founder, what am I actually getting? And, we really think about it as an infrastructure. And it's this layer of support that is there to help you build your business, with a mix of tools, of resources, and, really world-class human power. And that's not just from our in-house team, but our, ginormous extended network, which includes our venture partners, our experts in residence, as well as our mentors. And all of these people, including all of our founders, make up what we describe and call the Seedcamp Nation. And why do we call it the Nation? Well, really, because we have boots on the ground all over the world. And this Seedcamp Nation is what will really help power you on your journey. And, not just you as the founder, but as you also go on to build your business. And, that is sort of supported by this incredible network that we have of founders. So we use an internal platform where we have 1,000 founders now who are there. So any question that anybody has, it's unbelievable that every single day the things being put out there, and the amount of people who are just a couple of steps ahead of you on your journey and who can be there as an incredible resource for you, whether it's a question you have around, things that you're trying to set up internally, to branding support, to product. Really, there's it's all encompassing. And, it's also where our founders get their first customers a lot of the time. So we talk about it as this kind of fully thriving microeconomy, where you get to test, you get people trialing, and it's an incredible, resource, especially when you're early on that journey and actually getting feedback from people who understand and who've been there. So we have that. And obviously we focus incredibly around the founders from, the onboarding experience. We have something called Basecamp, which is kind of, as the name probably suggests, that starting point on the journey with us. But we're always thinking not just about the founders, but also about your teams. It takes a lot to build a business. And it's not just supporting you as the founder, but also, everybody else as you're bringing in people around you. So whether that's through support on sales or on hiring and talent or on thinking through marketing and product. And we have some amazing resources and, very sort of unique things that we offer at Seedcamp, namely things like our summits, where we bring really some of the world's best talent to come in and speak with people, as well as actually really getting the marketing leads or the product leads from within our companies to be sharing, what they've been learning and developing. And we have, the sort of micro communities around those people as well. Within our marketing Telegram group, for example, we've got 65 marketers from across the portfolio. And that's an insane resource for anyone who's, just starting out and wanting to test, how do I think about X, Y, or Z, to have, an amazing pool of people that they can speak to around that. So we have our summits, we have, every single week office hours going on, both with investors to speak to our founders and when you're thinking around that next stage of investment, but also around all of those operational support areas. And, I guess the thing that's been incredibly, I'm sure I'm speaking for everyone here, but the thing that's been so heartwarming for us, especially as we've, just announced the latest fund, is the feedback we get from our founders and, how much they want to give back to the next generation, as well as, how proud they feel to be part of this Seedcamp Nation and, this family of support that's been built and that's, evolved massively, but just continues to grow and get much stronger. And that's amazing for us to see, and we really think about it as this is, like having a really experienced co-founder, but you have many of them in the guise of the whole Seedcamp team across, the investment side, as well as the kind of operational support side of things. And really that is what's going to help supercharge you in your business, because it can be really, really lonely and it is not easy to start out. So I guess that's what we're all here to do, and the extended sort of Seedcamp Nation to help you sort of think through a lot of those areas. And I guess we also have the benefit of there's volume, right? You're not going to find any other fund really in Europe that has seen sort of the amount that we've seen. We're over 365 companies we've invested in now. There's an insane amount of, experience from our teams, as well as the founders that we're backing, whether that's, founders who are coming back to us for this sort of second, third time now, still seeing Seedcamp as the place that they want to build this business. But I think what we do really well is this balance of, how we think around, volume and a big group of people, but a really strong curation and element around how we think about the people that we put together and the needs of different people and what support we need to kind of plug in around them at any given time. So there's sort of, lots of things on that side, as well as lots of fun stuff. Seedcamp on pause for this year, but going to make a much, much bigger comeback. Hold this space, but it's really important as well. I think we love all of our founders, and hopefully the feeling we believe is quite mutual, and actually having the ability to spend time with each other, whether that's in online drinks that we've been having now while we're virtual, or the kind of very regular offline ones that we have in a COVID-free world. It's an amazing kind of support network around everyone, and lots of fun to be a part of, I guess. I suppose, Reshma, I had a question for you, because obviously 13 years of Seedcamp now, which is no small feat. Why do you think that now is the most exciting time to be a founder in Europe?
I think the sheer sort of two things is ambition and execution is what it comes down to. And versus 13 years ago, ambition levels, and actually watching that ambition execute into reality is dramatically different. To see a company like Spotify, a sort of B2C real brand, be worth 30 billion plus, to see one of the first emerging enterprise, not only unicorns coming out of Eastern Europe, but a decacorn coming out of Eastern Europe means, those going after enterprise no longer have to think that's it. We have to move to the US, or we actually can't build it here. You absolutely can have the ambition to build it here. And then to see the fastest growing company in the world right now, SaaS business like Hopin, which a product didn't exist a year ago. Again, that goes towards the ambition that you can have, and that you can see come to a reality, and that Europe has to then for execution all the available resources to reach that. And that comes down to a lot of talent. So, that talent, there's repeat talent. You can now really hire experienced people to grow from startup to scale up, which took a lot more time, and you didn't have the resources to really do that more than a decade ago. So a lot of it's around talent, the fact that we can work extremely remotely or centralized, or whatever. And again, that really benefits Europe, because we are a fragmented group of 27 plus countries, right? And so all around talent in terms of execution and capital. There is capital now at every single stage. There's nuances to it. There's choices. It's growing organically from Europe out, and it's flooding in from Asia and the US as well. So I think the ambition to know you can go from startup to scale up extremely fast, and scale up to boundless heights, and then secondly, to know you can do that, you can execute that without any sort of fear or any desire to go elsewhere. You can do it all here is powerful, because I think we do have a very proud European footprint, When you meet founders all across Europe, you see that, right? There's such a pride in growing from here and scaling here to go global. So that's been the biggest factors in the last 13 years, makes it such an exciting time. I think Europe's at the starting gates for the next 10, 20 years to actually shape how technology continues to be disruptive and transformational, because a lot of different models coming out of sort of Asia or US, have proven themselves not really great, not the direction we want to go into. So I think Europe can be defining for the next 20 years in how the technology world develops for humanity.
And so with that, guys, if you're listening and you've been a longtime follower of this podcast, you know that we're very much excited of sharing stories of success, of founders, of experiences, and we'd love to work with you and help you build and scale your global company. So get in touch and stay tuned. Until later, bye.